clear. I note that in the Welsh Government's legislative programme, you're now proposing to legislate in the area of letting agency fees, which I think is a welcome development. There was support from various opposition parties and some members of your own party for this, so I'm glad that you are now moving towards legislating in this area. Now, I know you needed to consider evidence from elsewhere before you took any action. I wondered where your considerations had led you to. I know there were possible issues over whether, if letting agency fees were banned, it would lead to rents being pushed up instead. I know that research was undertaken about the effects of doing this in Scotland, so I wondered what your thoughts were on this or any other related issue.
I'm very pleased I can count on the support of the UKIP members in taking forward our legislation on letting agency fees. It is our intention to introduce that, as the First Minister made clear yesterday. The sticking point was purely that of displacement of cost, and we had to be convinced that the displacement of cost wasn't attributed to the rental on letting agents, and I know many members, including Jenny Rathbone on our benches, have been keen to pursue this very issue.
Yes, thanks for that. And I hope that the legislation is taken forward and is ultimately effective. Going on to another issue that was covered in Taking Wales Forward, nursery places. There was a Welsh Government commitment to providing 30 hours a week of free childcare for working parents of 3- and 4-year-olds. The intention was to pilot new schemes starting this coming September to cover approximately 10% of eligible families. So I wondered what information there was about where the pilots will take place and on what basis your decision was taken as to why to initiate in those particular areas.
I've issued several statements on the childcare pledge, and I'm really looking forward to the start of that programme developing from September of this year. Indeed, in Blaenau Gwent, in my colleague Alan Davies's constituency, the whole of Blaenau Gwent will be considered as a pilot scheme, and therefore our young children having free childcare places for working parents. This is the most dynamic and childcare pledge in the whole of the UK, which we're starting to pilot here in Wales. I would refer the member to my statement in terms of the areas that this will be conducted in. That was chosen by offers made by local authorities in terms of which could come forward with the scheme at this point in time. But let me give reassurance to the member, all authorities across Wales by the end of this term of government will have full coverage of our childcare pledge in Wales.
Thanks for that, and I look forward to that happening. Just moving on to an issue that we talked about last week in the aftermath of the Grenfell Towers disaster. Now, I know you made a statement on this to the Chamber, so we have discussed these issues. One thing that has arisen as a possible problem in tackling regulation in Wales is the split of responsibilities between yourself and your colleague Lesley Griffiths, in that Lesley Griffiths' responsibilities, I believe, cover the building regulations side, whereas you're in charge of fire and rescue services and community fire safety. So I just wondered what your thoughts were on that and how you would tackle the difficulty of that split.
Let me give reassurance to the member again. There is no difficulty in terms of responsibility within the Welsh Government on this. I am the lead minister of this, including the building regulations side of the fire risk to any properties in Wales. I have had several meetings with the UK Government and Scottish and English counterparts on this, and this is a very live issue which we are taking very seriously. I work very closely with Lesley Griffiths' department, but I am the lead minister.